Bag, I want the bag. Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and the producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, I'm trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of our presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
What's going on? What's growing on? What is growing on? Welcome to B1AG. Here at B1AG, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to agricultural production, education, marketing, health, food, nutrition, and economics, all for the Black family, for the Black community. Welcome Black to the garden. There's been a lot of talk these days about the Metaverse. You know, Facebook has actually legally changed their name from Facebook to Meta. And it's all geared toward this virtual reality world called the Metaverse. Now, in the Metaverse, they're actually selling land in this Metaverse, a virtual reality world. They're selling land, and it's mirroring the cost of real world land prices. But will there be farming in the Metaverse? Will you be able to grow food in the Metaverse? Can you eat and sustain your real human body off anything produced in the Metaverse? We're going to look at this today. Here at B1AG, we like to keep our conversations real world and practical. And let's be honest, the Metaverse is right now is looked at as a big opportunity, you know, for investors and making new money and enhancing this crypto economy, emerging crypto economy. However, it's all virtual, it's online, meaning it's not really real. And I don't think that we can afford to stray away from this way of thinking. So today, what we're going to discuss is B1AG, farming in the Metaverse. Farmer Brown, you got some digital collard greens.
It's Soylent Green. First, I just like to say peace to the B1 family. Hope everybody's doing well. What they say, real recognize real. And so here at B1AG, you know, we like to remain very codified. We like to stick to what's real. You know, what we were endowed with as the original stewards of the real land. You asked that question, can you eat some digital greens? Can you eat some meta spinach? Can you eat some meta lettuce? The economy we operate in right now, you know, we're thinking about inflation. We're thinking about these supply chain disruptions. We're thinking about the real world stress that our melanated farmers are dealing with when it comes to dealing with the so-called real economy. And so I do look forward to deep diving. This ain't even a rabbit hole, man. This is like the Matrix today. I would like the melanated family to understand we're really coming to this from a very practical standpoint. We know within the Metaverse, you know, for economic, finance-minded people, this is a great opportunity to, you know, venture into new horizons. But when we think about the colonists, when they decided, what was it called, you know, the expansion westward, what does this turn into for the melanated family, especially when it comes to our food security?
This is like a digital manifest destiny. You know, they're trying to, you know, conquer this newly created metaverse that has not been created yet. Please understand this is still all theoretical. There is no real metaverse that is, built as to speak. They're in the process of trying to build it. However, there are a lot of companies, from Chipotle to Taco Bell to your McDonald's, they're buying and placing their restaurants, reserving their spaces in the metaverse, for these real world restaurants. It's merging and it's merging quickly. However, it's still theoretical. You know, um, it's a dangerous thing for me. It's escapism. We have real world issues here. We have real world food shortages, and we have real world supply chain issues. We have real world climate change issues. And it's like they're encouraging us to put on these goggles, these shades, to look into a false reality, a virtual reality, as a way to live your best life instead of doing what we can with what we have, and making the best of what we already have been endowed with. This is a dangerous game that we're playing, in my humble opinion. But we're gonna look into this. We're gonna look into this because this metaverse, there's a lot of, even though it's looking all shiny and new, and this is wow, this is new and it's great. This concept is not new, and it is actually it has a pretty dark side to it. Um, we may go how deep you want to go into it, Brown, about this meta.
November 24th. Mark this in your calendar. November 24th, virtual real estate. Somebody made the biggest purchase of $2.4 million. Somebody really spent a real $2.4 million for virtual real estate. If I take some seeds, the best heirloom seeds you can find, and put it into this virtual farm, what are you going to get out of it? Ding, 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 ding. $2.4 million. Let me break that down in perspective. And so when we think about arable land, we're in a world, we're specifically speaking about the melanated family. We know at least 16 million of us, what we call North America, Turtle Island, are food insecure. So that equates to about 543 acres of prime farmland. This is prime farmland at about 4,400 per acre. We know the average individual eats 200 square feet worth of fresh produce. Do the math of that, that equals 23,701,950 square feet. That breaks down to about 119,000 real individuals eating real fresh produce that keeps them healthy, that keeps them away from the pre-existing conditions and comorbidities. But somebody saw fit, and I guess we're doing a little activity of pocket watching today to spend 2.4 million on virtual real estate. Uh, who cares about the real people that's going hungry? The real farmers that aren't getting help from their governmental bodies and agencies responsible for making sure that this is a level playing field. For those that still think that this game is about being fair, this goes very deep. This concept of meta. I would encourage the family. This just came across my radar, and as soon as we get done with this, I'm going to go a little deeper in just to my own personal research. There's this entity from Judaism called Metatron. Metatron, he's basically an archangel in Judaism. He is considered the highest of angels and serves as a celestial scribe. Metatron, and I'm not making this up, Metatron, existence as his own personal story within himself as the hero and his opponents as villains. He even purposely spares many of his enemies and encourages them to oppose him simply so that they will be playing the roles he has assigned to them in his story. I'm not making this up, family. I don't know what it is. Here at B1AG, it's the Most High, the real Most High. I am that I am. So everything else that is not, I don't know about that. But you know, what did they say? You study to show yourself approved. We got some real things going on here, family.
And I'm real curious, who will be the God in this metaverse? Is Zuckerberg trying to put himself in that position? Is he trying to be Metatron? Is he trying to be your God?
I think we have a pictograph. So right now, you know, we got deviated away a little bit from the reality we speak of to just, you know, let's get down this rabbit hole, family. Let's look at this. And so what you see in this image, and I thought it was very interesting. They got a melanated man with these virtual glasses on. Oh man, life is so hard. It's so much of a struggle. I don't even want to live in real life. So give me these glasses so I can, what is it, Surrogate? You remember that movie with Bruce Willis? So let me just experience life vicariously through whoever's programming this matrix. You know, this is one of the reasons we push this B1 algorithm. But to the right, you see I don't know if it's a tarot card, but it's an image of this Metatron character. And it's the angel of thought. The angel of thought. Think about that. Not THOT, but thought. And then to the upper left-hand corner, you see Meta. This is Zuckerberg. What you see in the background, this is what the metaverse looks like. It's peachy. You know, it's beautiful. Everybody's perfect. You ain't got to get the fake eyelashes and all of that. Everybody's just beautiful and perfect in this world. And you can sit back in your chair at home. You know, if you're on lockdown, you can sit back in your chair at home and be the most beautiful, perfectest person in the world and experience this peachy world. But like bruh brought up in the beginning, and so as you're in this chair living in this virtual reality, what are you eating? You know, a few months back, we had talked about a few startups that are actually getting a lot of funding that are doing these nutrition cubes. They're not even full meals. You know, whether you're still eating meat or plant based, they're not even full meals. We're just going to basically extract nutrients. We're going to grow them in petri dishes, and we'll serve them in these little cubes that you can just throw in the microwave. Good morning, Sister Moffat. We're going to throw these cubes in the microwave, and you can get back to your chair and experience this virtual world. That's the way the magic works. You have to put your plan out there. You have to be truthful. And if people see it as entertainment, I told you what it was. But we got to think about this. Zuckerberg, I remember there was the Facebook whistleblower talking about the negative effects that Facebook and Instagram was specifically having on the teenagers. You know, it was having them questioning their, you know, body shaming, having them questioning, you know, am I loved? Am I popular? Do people like me? And so if something is simple and see, social media has become antiquated. Social media is like Stone Age now. So it's almost one of them things. Hey, if you're still on social media, you're in the old school. You got to jump into this metaverse where you can be perfect, where you can be beautiful. When we think about this concept of what they call Lucifer, it's the most beautiful angel, right? But God, I can do better than you. I know how to do this better than you. Here at B1AG, we want to stick to food security because there's so many areas of human activity. I mean, we could go on for hours, but I thought this was very interesting. And like I said, this just came out this week that somebody literally spent $2.4 million on virtual real estate. To play devil's advocate, okay, if you're into advertising, okay, we realize there's going to be a whole new world that exists where people are going to travel in this world and have to see signs and billboards. Let me take my company if I'm Taco Bell. Let me take my company if I'm KFC and make sure there's a billboard here. But if you're in this metaverse, can I stop at a virtual KFC or a virtual salad bar and get a real salad? What does this look like?
Well, believe it or not, they are working on it. The Spoon.tech, they actually did an article up in it's entitled Restaurants Welcome to the Metaverse. And they actually talked about how Chipotle, using the Roadblocks platform, they opened up a restaurant in the virtual reality world through Roblox, and those who use their promotion code in the restaurant in virtual reality, they actually received like a coupon for a free burrito in the real world. Now, if they can, now, not being an advocate for it, but if there's some kind of, real link or real benefit when it comes to food in the real world, in the metaverse, I might not have maybe a less cynical view of it. But in this article, they are speaking about 7 ways that the restaurants will change in the metaverse. And they're talking about, for one, marketplaces. The apps won't be primarily ordering channel anymore. Like right now, everybody's using apps. Companies like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub, they're gonna have to rethink their strategy in ordering because it's moving to become pure logistics, artificial intelligence. The metaverse is opening a new ordering portal. It's going to be a new way to order your food. So it's going to be competing with your DoorDashes and Uber Eats and Grubhubs.
We was talking the other day about the cardboard shortage because of exponential growth in people ordering from home, right? Think about the packaging. We're not even talking about Amazon right now. We're just talking about food. And so what happens when you got a large groundswell of people who, okay, I don't even want to go out in real life anymore with real people. I just want to sit home and virtually live. That means there's going to be a more of a strain on real natural resources, our trees, which are used to create this cardboard. China, this actually came out today. The Chinese stocks related to the metaverse, even very tangentially, have risen sharply, but jumping in now could result in real losses. I'm going to play devil's advocate. It's very hard, but to play devil's advocate, I know working with some of the small farmers in my 9 to 5, the inability to kind of get with some of the newer programs, be able to incorporate some of the newer technology keeps the producers from being able to compete in the broader markets. And so in some sense, there is a value in being able to keep up with technology. But the caveat with that is, okay, there was a time our ancestors, and I imagine my great-great-grandmother never heard of an ATM machine. They came from a time where I have 2 apples, you got 2 oranges. Let's trade. I got a cow over here that produces milk. You got a hog over there that's gonna give me some meat. So let me trade an equal value of meat with milk. You got some greens over there. I got some beans over here. We're gonna do an even exchange. That's as ancient as our ancestors. And so what we did slowly over the ages is, okay, well, we don't want to just keep going to each other with these tangible, real products. In economics, they call them widgets. Instead, I'll give you credit. I'll give you. It's absurd. It's absurd. But once again, we try to be codified, and regardless of how we look at it, there's a world full of people that see this as reality. There's a world full of people. Somebody spent real $2.4 million on virtual real estate. I think we have to explore that word real estate. Is it really estate or is it virtual estate? That's a whole other topic in and of itself. But saying that to say this buy-in to these new technologies over time, over a period of 100 years, what does this do to the melanated family? We understand that the melanated farmers actually had the highest representation back in early 1900s, where we represented 15% of the overall agricultural primary operators. 15% back when we're thinking 1920s. Oh, we were horrible. Oh, we didn't have nothing. We're fresh out of this concept of slavery. But this is when your Black Wall Streets existed. This is when all of the black towns across what we call North America existed during the 1920s, during this, what we see as an antiquated time. Whereas now we got all the technology in the world, we got the affirmative action, we got civil rights, and we're only 1.4% of the producers. And so once again, if the family can kind of put this on, put this in your mental notebook, what does this trend look like as more technologies, as all of these new financial opportunities present themselves? What does this do when it comes down to something as basic as our food security? Not just our food security, but our ability to relate with one another in a productive manner. I don't think I've ever dealt with a person when there was food involved. These were real interactions. There are social, there are spiritual. I'm a spiritual person. There are spiritual interactions that happen when you're really with real people, really eating. So what happens when we have this large part of our existence that's tied to a metaverse? And we haven't touched on this Metatron yet. But I think we really need to unpack this, family, because this is becoming a quasi-real dynamic that's going to affect all of us.
At the end of the day, the metaverse is virtual reality. It's not real. It's virtual. You have to put on your glasses and you're getting visuals as if you're actually there, but you're not. It may take your mind there, but not your body. So even if they did have virtual farming operations in the metaverse, we can't eat it. It will not sustain the body. You won't get full off of it. So in staying practical and staying in this firmly planted and deeply rooted in reality, we have to realize that although they're offering this virtual reality world, that there still is a real world that we are living in, and we still have to eat. We have to grow our food. It's cool to sit there, like they're saying, you can buy your avatar in the metaverse. You can pay real world money to buy shoes and clothes and to go to these restaurants in this metaverse. But don't forget, you have to really feed yourself in this real world. And that's going to take real effort.
This Metatron archangel, who according to Judaism sat like right behind the Most High, right? So according to Jehovah's Witness, they have this term said, the king cometh. And this was about 1913. The king cometh. And I just always thought that was very interesting. I remember they had come and visit my mom's house. This was decades ago. But I remember reading and it said 1914, the king cometh. Well, what do we know happened in 1914? This was the establishment of the Federal Reserve. Well, what are we locked out of? What is the thing that is keeping people from being functional in this real world? And it's the fiat, right? Who controls the fiat? Who has the printer in what we call North America? It's the Federal Reserve, which isn't even a federal organization. So, fast forward. So now you have a whole new entity, and I'm being very specific with using this word entity. That's like, okay, since the fiat, where it was supposed to be backed by gold, which really isn't backed by gold anymore, that's been exhausted. We see all of these things going on, a lot of legislation where anybody that got any basic economic sense, like, hey, this is going to lead to inflation. The thing that we're using as a medium of exchange doesn't have the same value it did when my great-great-grandfather, so on and so forth, was spending it. And so, these people think 50 years, 100, they think, long term. And so what this represents to me when I think of the metaverse, and like I said, I'm not coming from like a conspiracy theory because all of this information is available to all of us. I would encourage all of the family to fact check me. Because right now, what facts exist in the metaverse, really? So all we can do is deal in conjecture. But are we, and I just use the proverbial are we accepting a new king over our temples, over our temples that have been constructed by the Most High? Are we relegating a real part that was assigned to us to something that doesn't even exist? This is why we talk about we got to get black to the garden, family. This isn't about everybody. I know some scriptures or scripts talk about a remnant. I believe in the law of thirds. It takes a third of a thing to do a thing, right? To be efficient. But that's one of the reasons we really believe in this This healthyblackfood.com. It's more than a hustle for us, family. This is real. Like, we really got to get black to the basics of how do we grow real food? How can I grow something if I'm in an apartment? How can I partner with people within my apartment complex just in case the metaverse takes over and now nobody wants to sell anything person to person? You have to log into the metaverse to be able to order your food. Because there was a time, you didn't need a plastic card to swipe, say going to Walmart or Kroger. But every time I go to the store, you realize, more and more they'll have these little signs on the machines that say, "Oh, card only, card only." Fast forward 5 years from now, okay, hand scan only, eyeball scan only. Oh, nope, you gotta get this thing in your forehead or your right hand before you can get your food. Uh, I'm a person that believes we have power, and that power is in our choice, and that power is being connected with that which gives us real power. What is real power gained through? It's gained through food. On a physical level, obviously the spiritual part of us draws power from the Most High, the origin. But when we're talking in this physical plane, real power, real energy, your caloric intake, your nutrients come from food. And so to the degree that we can get back to the essence of being able to produce food, understanding the science of how food is produced. You don't just throw a seed out in the ground and suddenly it grows. There's dynamics involved. Is your real soil being prepared to grow this food? I imagine in the metaverse, the soil is perfect, and I can throw a perfect meta seed into the meta soil, and I'll get some great meta greens. But if I put that in this real body, what's that going to do?
I can tell you now, you get you a meta greens, it's not gonna give you're gonna be meta hungry. You're gonna be meta hungry. It's not, my grandfather used to have this phrase, is no count. There's no count to that, meaning that you gain no value from that. And in the metaverse, when it comes to dealing with hunger, it's no count. There's no calorie count. There's no feeling of being satiated from eating a meal. You don't get no real caloric power from that. You're going to be hungry. They may connect it to, okay, you can buy something in the metaverse and then you may have some food delivered to you. That's cool, but at the end of the day, what if your electricity goes out? I lived in Florida. We had to deal with hurricanes. I've lived like 8 days without electricity because the hurricane knocked out our power. There was no way to order. There was no, we had to get it how we lived, and luckily we had a deep freezer and a barbecue grill.
Everybody born since, I guess, about 2007, early 2000s, everybody born since then, Facebook, social media, uh, digital communications is a thing. Just like we used to have to write letters, just like I remember, when it was time to play with my friends, we didn't have cell phones. Somebody would walk outside and you look out your window. It was almost like telekinesis. Like we knew when we were gonna come outside. We were literally connected on that wavelength to where now some people only communicate digitally. Like I don't know you exist unless you're on this digital device. So saying that to say, I think a lot of us who are a little bit older that's lived the majority of our lives in the real world where you had to deal with real people, it's not so much of an issue. But once again, we're dealing with a faction that thinks long term. Okay, these young ones now who 5 years old, think about the 5 to 11 year olds, they don't know any better. Lockdown is normal to them. Masking up, all of these different things going on, regardless of how we feel about them, has become normal. And so, what happens when we make a metaverse normal? What does 2040 look like? What does 2050 look like when you have a critical mass of living beings that see their existence as I'm not really existent unless I'm in a device? with these devices, let you try to get an account and not give your email address and some form of information, your IP address. We got these social security numbers. That's a whole nother story. But then what are all of these little tags to be able to produce? You were saying Chipotle will give you a burrito. It makes me think of Jacob and Esau. So I'm going to give you my birthright for a bowl of stew or a bowl of soup. I'm going to give you all of this information. I'm going to give you access to my real being to exist in an unreal world for a burrito.
I know, and again, just like Joe's daughter Zion said earlier, they've been playing this out in movies for years. So when I look at the Matrix, now when you look at the real world in the Matrix, it was dark, there was destruction, no sun. It was the earth itself was ravaged. However, the people were continuing their lives through this computer simulation as if everything was okay. And that's what it looks like they're trying to do now. Like they're ravaging the earth and trying to put a different vision of what's really going on in front of our eyes through this metaverse, through these video games, through these virtual simulated, worlds. But again, we cannot afford to be swayed and taken away from what's really going on, what's really growing on out here in the real world. And out here, we have to eat. We have to eat. If you don't eat, you die, you perish. So let's not stray away from what we know is real. The metaverse sounds cool. They're doing a lot of promotion for it, but it's still all theoretical. It's not even really here yet. They're just getting us primed and ready for it, but it's still not here yet. And let's also make sure that we teach our young ones that, the difference between virtual reality and real reality, because they don't know any better. If they don't know, like they're so accustomed to these devices, these cell phones, like you show them a corded phone that, I grew up with, a corded phone or a rotary dial phone, they think that's crazy. They wouldn't know what to do with it. I've seen a lot of TikTok videos and stuff like that. They gave their kids a rotary phone and they just, you would have thought you gave them something from space. And it's the same thing with dealing with this food. If we don't teach our kids what real food is, when, if they're just giving these protein squares or food substitute squares, they're going to think that's normal.
Every piece of technology, every piece of technology is mimicking something natural. Airplanes were modeled after birds, after aviation, right? Was based around birds. Telephone is a replication of telepathy. You got to think, how did this whole world, how was people how was the ancestors, the Moors, whoever traveling around the world with no telephones? They were able to navigate the world, create these maps with no GPS signals. We think about this concept of a smartphone. I ain't gonna lie, family, without Google spell check, I'm dumb. So literally access to something that's promoted as smart is making you dumb. You had brought up a great point about a lot of these movies they promoted like, oh, the real world is just so dark and dreary. It's dark in the wintertime. It's dark when the days are shorter. If you're in Alaska somewhere, it might be dark for 6 months. But after that 6 months, when spring comes around, when summer comes around, everything is seasonal. But if I have your mind programmed into this microwave society where you want all of these results instantly, I want this elation, I want this happiness, I want this dopamine rush instantly, then I can program you into this simulated reality. a microwave is basically a simulation of putting something over a fire, a real world fire. But since you don't want to wait till whatever it is you're heating up heats up over the fire, I can put this in here and zap it with all sorts of radiation and all sorts of things that you'll get your meal quicker, but it loses its nutritional value. And I might give you things that you might not have wanted to take back in the form of radiation. Family, when we say getting black to the garden, garden is not just this cute activity. Garden isn't just this nice little hobby that old ladies do in the backyard. No, this is a point of power. When I say power, I mean this in every sense of the word, because that power means, okay, I'm not dependent on a third party, an intermediary to do something as basic as eating. I don't know any squirrel out there or any roach, rat, any living organism that has to live their world vicariously through a device, right? I imagine if somebody figured out a way to try to get the squirrels and birds attached to technology, they would. But as humans, I was always raised to believe that we were special. We were given, these special faculties. So with those special faculties, there's a whole different level of contribution to this broader planet, so to speak, that we're supposed to add. We're supposed to be stewards of the land, not of the virtual real estate. This is why I see this as a bright opportunity. We see the mainstream, their little economic schemes, all these little things that they've been working on for the last few centuries are running out. It's exhausting. Okay, last thing I can do is just try to bring you to my game board, my virtual game board. And to the extent that the melanated family can be like, you know what, we're just going to go back to the original game board of learning how to produce, learning how to work with one another, knowing how to basically, you know what, I don't want to beat you, I want to feed you. Matter of fact, if you want to compete, I bet I can feed you more than you can feed me. I bet I can grow more of this than you can grow. And so if you have this, this competitive nature we have, figuring out who can grow better, who can grow more efficiently, who can destroy less of the planet, I think that's a great opportunity. I wish you would try to grow more food than me, because win or lose, it's 2 times more food to eat.
Now's the time. We have to get black to the garden. This is Black Friday. Go to healthyblackfood.com. Sign up. Learn how to grow food with your children, with your family, with your community. It's more important now than ever. Everybody's got their eyes on the metaverse, a virtual reality that's not even here yet. And everybody's looking at that. Nobody's paying attention to the real world. We got to stay connected. We got to stay firmly planted and deeply rooted in reality. And the reality is we all have to eat. We all have to eat. I say it again. We all have to eat. A lot of us like to eat more than once a day. Again, in our supermarkets and our grocery stores, there are some stores that are resorting to putting cardboard pictures of food up just to cover up the fact that there's nothing there. The writing is not on the wall. The writing is it's in the grocery stores. The writing is actually in the grocery stores. When you have China telling its citizens, hey, y'all better stock up on food. And here in America, we receive so much of our food from China. That's a pretty clear cut red flag. Social media, they're always talking about these red flags, as far as dealing with dating and dealing with the opposite sex. Red flags, red flag. This is a flag on the plate when it comes to food security. When you have one of our food producers, the main food producers telling their people that they need to stock up on food, what do you think that we need to do?
I tell you what, when the twins, they're into this plate rating now. And so we can't eat a meal safely without them raiding our plates. And I just think, now what would this look like? My son, my daughter are raiding my plate, and I'd be like, now just look at this nice meal on this phone. Let me eat this real food, and you look at this nice meal on that phone. Is that going to satiate them? A kid knows better. I need real food, Dad. Where does this real food come from? I can't eat this phone. I mean, I could, but it probably would give me indigestion.
Or something worse. So, healthyblackfood.com. Let's get black to the garden. It says this is a survival skill. Knowing how to feed yourself, refuel yourself. Don't forget this body that we are in. Not an avatar. This real body that we're in. This is one of the greatest machines ever created, the human body. One of the most intricate machines ever created, the human body. And it needs to be refueled, just like whether you have a Bugatti, Lamborghini, or you got a doggone Hyundai. It's got to be refueled. And our human body is the same way. It must be refueled, and the fuel that fuels this body, this machine, this intricate work of art, moving art, is food and water. So if you have the power to provide for yourself the food and water, the things you need to refuel this machine, that puts a lot of power in your hands. And we cannot forget that. We cannot afford to keep giving this power over to someone else. We have to reclaim this power because they're taking everything. And then they're not even just taking everything. They say, well, if we can't take it, we're just going to create a virtual version and own you there. Stay firmly planted and deeply rooted in reality, y'all. healthyblackfood.com. And also, hey, we got to continue to grow this conversation. I need you to like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. You know, we have great. We love our viewers. We love our viewers because y'all are active. Y'all comment. Y'all are really a part of this conversation. But we need to make sure that this conversation continues to grow, we need to keep people firmly planted and deeply rooted in what we're talking about, and that's food security. You know, food security is real world security. You know, that we all need to have our place at the table, at this proverbial dinner table. We all have a right to be there. It's a God-given right, and we need to make sure that we are taking our place at this proverbial dinner table by remaining food secure. You know, people are talking about a lot of things, but they ain't talking about this food. You know, they're not talking about this food security, and we need to change that. Like, share, and subscribe. It's free to do that. You know, subscribe to the B1AG Daily Bread podcast on YouTube. We need to get our subscription numbers up so we can reach more people, so we can fight against the algorithm with this black algorithm. We got to keep pushing this to the forefront of how important it is that we pay attention to our food system. It's dramatically being changed and challenged at the same time like no other time in history. And we need to stay on top of that. You know, we need to stay on top of that. Again, we're pushing this black algorithm to fight the algorithm. And that is our mission. And we're going to continue to do that.
Pushing the black algorithm. Ancestors, they mastered the systems. We raising young bosses, no victims. Planting that knowledge curriculum. Blessing the roots with the nutrients. The darker the berry, black Nubian. Dropping receipts like I'm Julian. The streets with that food like Peruvian. Trapping the herbs and the fruits and the veggies. CSA boxes, my package is heavy. Ship across down in the bed of my Chevy. Printing them up, growing hard, but they're baby. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta scramble. Bet on black farmers and growers, no gamble. Reclaiming our pain cause the game is in shambles. Blessed with that melanin, carry the miracle. Mothers and fathers of civilization. Black to the garden with food cultivation. Building back better through black innovation. B1 community growing the nation. Genetically designed to be the dopest. Stoking that growth mindset. Codified, now we focus farming on track on track. Feed the fam, break bread with them. Pushing that B1 algorithm. Now Watch me get 'em, watch me get 'em. Pushing that B1AG rhythm. Be the fan, break bread with 'em. Pushing that B1AG rhythm. Watch me get 'em, watch me get 'em. Pushing that B1AG rhythm.
There it is. So, like, share, subscribe. Let's grow this conversation. B1AG, Daily Bread Podcast. We are fighting against the algorithm to push this black algorithm. Food security, that is the focus. That is the goal. We don't want anybody hungry. Because at the end of the day, if the have-nots are hungry, they're going to resort to eating those that have. So, are you going to feed or get fed on? It's a simple choice. You have a choice to either feed or be fed on. We can help feed or we can be the meal ourselves. You can either help feed the world or the world's going to eat you. I don't want no barbecue sauce on me unless it's done dripped off of something I'm eating. But I don't need to be in somebody's stew pot. You're trying to eat, John Henry stew. I have a John Henry sandwich. I like collard greens and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to be the main course. And I really don't think that, any of our people need to be the main course because they've been eating us and eating off of us for far too long. So let's put our mind and our talents and our time into growing this food. We all got to eat. Simple as that. The Metaverse. Is it going to be farming in the Metaverse? Maybe, maybe not. But it's virtual reality. You can't eat that. You can't eat anything in the Metaverse. You can buy your avatar a pair of Jordans or to make flies in the Metaverse. But if you look down you're still gonna have whatever you have on your feet. Let's not forget, this is reality. What real is. It stays firmly planted, deeply rooted in reality. Food security. That's B1AG's mission. Food security for everyone. Because if you really, really want to know something, what do the people need to do, Farmer Brown?
If you really want to know something, we really, not virtually, we really need to learn how to grow something.
There it is. And let's grow this conversation. Tell somebody, tell somebody, tell somebody, tell somebody. B1AG, Daily Bread Podcast. We're talking about this healthyblackfood.com. We're talking about getting black to the garden. We're talking about what's growing on. Let's grow this conversation. Let's feed our nation because it's all turning digital and we can't chew on no crypto.
Encourage the family to look up Metatron, Metaron, Metatron. Very interesting read, family. If you hadn't already, we're late to the game.
So y'all, enjoy your family. Tell you love them. For those, during these times, it's the holidays or whatever, for our family that has transitioned on, let's remember them. Let's keep their essence alive. Let's take a part of that and let them live through us. I'm John Henry Harris. We have Farmer Brown MC. This is B1AG. Until next time, peace.